everybody, it's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. Welcome to Sunday Night Live, where we explore the principles that allow us to thrive in change. And I'm here to tell you all growth equals change. If we're growing, we're changing. So you're in the right place. You're here to grow, and you are going to learn how to deal with change. And it's all good. I'm excited to share with you tonight. Our Thrive principle that we are leaning into is hashtag trust the process. There is a process to growth, and part of the process is the environment in which we find ourselves, and ideally, in which we place ourselves. We can be intentional about that growth. So I'm excited to talk about that with you tonight. Welcome to everybody who's jumping in. Philip, I'm glad to see you here. If this is perhaps your first time being with me live on Sunday Night Live, I encourage you, give StreamYard permission to use your Facebook profile and picture, and you'll be able to interact with us. You can say hi, let us know where you're watching from. Hey, Missy, I'm glad you're here. By all means, jump in and share who you are. What are you dealing with? How are the lessons that we're talking about here on Sunday Night Live helping you to expand and grow and to deal with the changes that you have in your life? I'm here to help. We've got a great group of people who watch regularly live, or a lot of times they're listening to this in podcast form. It's called the Thrive and Change podcast. You can find it on Spotify, on anywhere you listen to podcasts, on your iPhone podcasts, iPods. I don't know what they call it now, but iPods. You know what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave that behind. I'm showing my age here. iPods, long time ago. Anyway, welcome. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Thumb Roast Coffee. Those of you who are coffee drinkers, I encourage you, if you have not been to thumbroastcoffee.com, to explore the wonderful, delicious variety of fresh roasted coffee that they have there. You need to go. You need to check it out. The good news is, when you start putting those things in the cart because they sound so good, and they will, when you check out, you're going to get 15% off by using the coupon code THRIVE, THRIVE. Thumb Roast Coffee is my favorite. I start looking forward to drinking it in the morning when I go to bed at night. I love it that much, and I know you will too. So I encourage you, go check it out, get yourself a bag, and use the coupon code THRIVE to get 15% off at thumbroastcoffee.com. Thank you, Thumb Roast. All right, let's see. I think we're ready to roll. All right, we are talking about a growth environment. What is a growth environment? Why does it matter? I'm going to confess to you that I have killed more houseplants than I can count. It's not a good thing. I somehow have a brown thumb when it comes to houseplants, or actually most plants, if I'm honest. It's because I don't pay any attention to their soil. I don't make sure that it's fresh. I don't change it out every now and again or put fertilizer in it. I just can't deal with it. I don't have time. I don't water them enough. And even the cactuses, then I water them too much because folks, I'm not making excuses. I'm not proud of it. I just am not great with houseplants. They cannot live because of the environment I create for them. I'm going to say that again. The houseplants in my home can't live because the environment I have them in will not support their growth. Your environment matters. Here's the good news. A houseplant, no matter how terrible its environment is, doesn't have any options. It has to sit there and wait for Shannon to figure out that it either needs water, or it needs more sun or less sun, or maybe some fertilizer. It has no options. It's stuck until it withers and it dies. The good news is that's not you and me. We get to move. We get to choose what environment we place ourselves in. And how do we know? How do we know what kind of environment we need? We're going to talk about some of the components of a growth environment. Years ago, my therapist friend Jim, my counselor friend Jim, said to me, Shannon, you cannot expect to thrive if you are constantly breathing toxic air. You can't expect to thrive. He said, if you're in a work environment, if you are in a culture, it doesn't have to be work either. It can be a community culture. It can be a family culture. It could be a church culture. Any culture, any environment, group environment that you find yourself in, if it is toxic and has the components of toxicity in there, you can hold your breath for a while, but you're not going to thrive. You can cover your face with a mask. You can put on the gas mask figuratively every time you go. You can try to filter all the bad things that they say about your work or what you do. You can try to filter all the negativity. But here's the truth of it. Eventually, that toxic environment will suck all of your life. If you find yourself in a toxic environment, you have to do something about it. If it doesn't change, you have to change. You are not a houseplant. You can pick up and move. And you get to pick. Here's another thing. It doesn't even have to be a toxic environment. You get to choose to be in an environment that challenges you more, that gives you more room to grow, that has more of the components that we're going to talk about. Sometimes it means you create those things yourself. Sometimes it means you look for another set of friends. Way back in the Sunday Night Live archive, I've got I don't know if I don't think it was a series, but we talked about frenemies. Our friends establish an environment for us. The people that we're closest to or that we spend the most time with establish an environment for us. So let's talk about what are we going to look for when we're looking for a growth environment. Are you ready? All right. I learned these from my mentor, Mark Cole, and he is the president and CEO of Maxwell Leadership. He took over for my other mentor and friend, John Maxwell, as John is, I think he's 75 or 76. Today might be his birthday, actually. February, where are we at? February 19th. I think it might be today. So he's starting to focus his attention in other directions. Mark Cole comes up. Anyways, he's just been an inspiration and has some pretty cool stuff to share. So I'm excited to share some of his wisdom with you. All right. So the first thing in a growth environment, one of the must-haves is other people are ahead of me. Other people are ahead of me. Here's the thing. You might be a go-getter. You might be the kind of person who all your years in school, you were at the head of the class. Maybe you graduated as valedictorian. Maybe you've always been told you're a natural leader. Maybe you just naturally fall at the top of whatever group you're in. That is not going to help you grow. That will help you coast. When we are talking about growth, we're not comparing ourselves to the other people next to us or on either side of us. When we are looking at finding a growth environment for a certain aspect of our personality or a skill that we have or a dream that we're trying to realize, we can pick different environments, different people to surround ourselves with, different classes, different environments to be in, depending on what role we're in, right? So it doesn't mean that we're stuck in just one. We get to pick others and move in and out and join a class. But I'm here to tell you that if you are always the smartest, the fastest, the best painter, the most articulate, the fill in the blank, if you are always the best in your group, you are not going to grow. you are going to coast. Which brings us to number 2. To have a growth environment, we need to be continually challenged, not harassed, challenged, encouraged, given an opportunity to try something new, to be bigger, to be more. We need that if we are going to grow. We have to be continually challenged in order for us to be able to fulfill our potential. Welcome, Carol. Carol says happiness is shining through me tonight, and she is right. I'm feeling very happy. All right. Mark said this, you can't coast your way to success. That's why it's so important to be in a group with people. Find a group. Maybe you're studying to be a musician. Take part in a group that's further along than you are so that you're stretched, so that you're challenged. Sing music that is more difficult than you've ever sung before, something you have to work at. Maybe you want to be more socially active, then stretch yourself a little. If we are not stretching, we are not growing, and we can't coast our way to success. If it's easy, you're not growing. I hate that too. That doesn't mean that things can't come easily to us. Public speaking comes easily to me. This is an area where I'm gifted, but I have to work at it to grow in it. I have to continually put myself in a situation where I can learn from somebody who's better at public speaking than I am, so that I can stretch and challenge myself to get better. Where's the area that you want to grow? How can you be challenged in that area? All right, so far so good. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I see some people on here. Welcome to all of you. Feel free to say hi and absolutely share with us, where are you growing? Where have you found a great growth environment? Carol's popping in and she's got a good one. She says, we so love our Saturday morning group. I always leave with something new to work on, me, and Sunday Night Live always changes me. Thank you, Carol, for sharing that. Livestream Leadership, ladies, I'm sorry, guys. Livestream Leadership is a ladies group. We meet on Saturday mornings, but it is a place where we grow and challenge each other. It's a place where others are ahead of us in different areas of our growth and development as leaders. And it is powerful. And consistently choosing to expose yourself to that kind of challenge helps you to grow. Livestream Leadership is a growth environment. Sunday Night Live is a growth environment. You are learning things here that you might not have learned anywhere else. And certainly, I'm not the only one who's challenging you. There are others here, commenters, people who routinely attend live, that are helping to bring all of us up. We are helping each other to get better. All right, number 3, in a growth environment, the focus is always forward. The focus is always forward in a growth environment. Have you ever worked at a job where all they could do was tell you all the things that you did wrong yesterday and the day before? Never let you forget that you've made a mistake? Some of us have been in families that are like that. You guys, this is hard, but it's true. Sometimes your family is not a growth environment. Sometimes, I'm going to say that again. Sometimes your family is not a growth environment. And there are a lot of reasons why that may not be the case. You can choose. You can choose to become part of another group that is. You can choose what you want your interactions with your family to look like. And if you are expecting, just because that's where you were born, that your family was equipped or capable or willing to create a growth environment for you, they may not have been able to do it. Maybe they were limited by their upbringings. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they didn't have time. The why of it is not nearly as important as recognizing that sometimes the family that we're born into is not the environment in which we will grow the best. That's an objective observation. And so if you can love your family, and you can, and choose to find a growth environment where you are able to look forward to what's ahead, the good that's ahead, the potential that's ahead, you will be stunned at what a difference it makes in your life. You will be stunned. Focusing forward is important because that's where our future is. It's where your future is. Stop looking back. You're not going that way. It might have been good. It might have been great. Take the meat. Take the good stuff. Bring it with you. Hold it close to your heart. But don't keep looking backward. You need to be in an environment where the people around you encourage you to face forward, where their focus is forward, because that's where your future lies. All right. We, all of us, need to be in an encouraging environment. Encouragement is so powerful. We each have the ability to be an encourager. I know some of you who are faithful Sunday Night Live viewers, that is one of your gifts. It's your mission to be an encourager. What a beautiful, beautiful use of your gift to encourage people to grow, to be hopeful about what people say they'd love to do when they share their dreams and their plans. Bree says this. Brienne says this. Is it Bree? Brienne? Bree says this. Positive steps forward. Yes, we're always moving forward, even if it's teeny tiny steps. Step forward is a step in the right direction. And here's a little thing. If you don't know exactly what forward looks like, walk away from the thing you know is toxic and is killing you. You may not know exactly which way to go, but if you don't know exactly which direction to go, it's safe to say taking a step away from that toxic environment is a step in the right direction, even if it's small. Even if it's small. Bree, she says, awesome. Bree, I have a granddaughter whose name is Bria, and I sometimes call her Bree. I love that name. Okay, here's another one. A growth environment is a place where you are outside of your comfort zone. If I always do what I've always done, I'll always get what I always got. All growth happens outside of our comfort zone. And I loved this quote from Mark Cole. He said, the reason you don't have what you want because it's outside of your comfort zone. That's it. A growth environment is a place where people around you encourage you to stretch, encourage you to get outside of that comfort zone. I'll be honest. Oh, I'm getting some hearts and thumbs up now. I'll be honest. It had been a long time since I felt myself really stretch, really do something different, really look at things in a way that was not habitual to me. And I didn't even know what that feeling was. I felt all bubbly inside. It's like, what is this? I feel like there's ginger ale in me. What is happening here? I finally realized this is the discomfort of doing something unfamiliar. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Important to get out of our comfort zone. If you are in an environment that tries to convince you to stay comfortable, to keep doing what you've always done, that is a dangerous place to be. And you're not a house plant. You don't have to stay there. You get to choose to align yourself in groups with people, with friends that will help you to stretch and get out of your comfort zone. All right, we're almost done with this list. It's a long one, isn't it? We need to be surrounded with people, be in an environment where failure is a friend, where you are allowed to try something and fail. Amazing. I listened to a really cool audiobook about I guess he's a rock star. His name's Paul Simon. He's the guy who wrote the song Bridge Over Troubled Water, wrote the song The Sound of Silence. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? That's him. He failed so many times. He's tried so many different types of music. And he said, I just learned something. I thought this would be good. He told the story of one time he went to Brazil to meet with somebody to kind of collaborate, and they played a different kind of an instrument, and they had a lot of different rhythms that weren't traditional to the United States style of music. And he said they got there and they spent a few months, and he said I came home and I was like, yeah, that it didn't work. He didn't look at it as a failure. He learned something. Oh, well, I don't like that, or oh, that doesn't work with my style. He said he learned from it. He wrote a Broadway play, a Broadway musical that was a total bust. The critics hated it, audiences hated it, it got terrible reviews, and it went away. And it was like a punch in the gut, he said. And then, with time, he rallied. He took a big, big risk, tried something new, got out of his comfort zone. He'd never done anything like that before, and it didn't work, but he learned from it. Such an inspiring story and very real and human. It was really good. But what kind of an environment are you surrounded in? If you try something new, does your boss get all over you if you mess it up? Failure is the price we pay for growth. Failure is how we learn. Have you ever watched a baby learn to walk? How many times do they fall down? If a baby quit trying the first time it fell down, it would never walk again. But that's not how it works. When babies are trying to walk, they fall over and over and over. And each time they fall, their brain registers without them paying attention. They're not thinking about this. They're not strategically trying to learn. They just automatically absorb, what did I do? What do I need to do differently so that I don't fall the next time? And eventually they're walking without even thinking about it. Failure is a friend. We can surround ourselves with people, put ourselves into cultures, into jobs, into places where the people around us don't get mad at us for failing, but compliment us for trying and help us to learn from what we've done so that we can do better the next time. Carol says, encouraging us to invest in ourselves will prepare us and help us to invest in others. Yes, a legacy, right, Carol? You encourage us to be careful with our words. Absolutely. The encouraging words that we speak are part of a growth environment. The words you hear are part of a growth environment. I'm going to ask you a question. What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of music do you listen to? I was coaching a person one time and she was struggling. She was having trouble in her home life. She was depressed. She was just having issues in her marriage. She just was having a lot of issues. And I'm not a counselor. I'm not at all a counselor. Counselors help you figure out what happened in your past and make sense of it and heal from it. Very valuable. But as a coach, what I do is encourage people to focus ahead. What do you want to do next so that you can move forward? What choices do you want to make next so that you can move forward? And so as we were talking, she and I, she mentioned that she listened to a certain country music station all day in her car while she worked. She was on the road about 6 hours a day. And she listened to this country music station. And I asked her, is the music you're listening to? I mean, is it talking about happy marriages? She laughed. Oh, no. It's always the breakup song, right? Okay. Is it talking about good relationships? Is it talking about hope down the road? She goes, oh, no, you know how it goes. She goes, no, it's all the woe is me stuff. I said, well, you may want to consider listening to something else and see what happens. Something as simple as changing the music you listen to, changes your environment. It can place you in a growth environment. Instead of woe is me, you can listen to music that says, there's something good on the horizon. I am who you say I am, God. Simple change makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Her life changed in a month. I'm not exaggerating. Her life changed in a month. She said, I had no idea that it was taking such a toll on me. Yeah. Part of our environment. What's playing on that TV? Part of your environment. What are you listening to? It's part of your environment. The choices that we have now, there is no reason to be stuck in a toxic environment when it comes to the music we listen to, the shows we watch, the movies we see, the podcasts we follow. We get to choose, and there are so many great choices out there. Philip says, I listen to Jesus music. Amen, Philip. I do too, because what Jesus says about me feeds my soul. Feeds my soul. The ultimate growth environment. All right, we're almost done here. We need to be in an environment where other people are growing too. If I'm the only one growing, something's not right. If you're the only one growing, something's not right. We have to make sure that we're in an environment where everybody is growing. Does everybody have to be at the same level? No. It's okay if some people are coming up and some people are up here, but everybody needs to be growing. And that environment that feeds the growth of others will feed our growth as well. And number 8, I think this is number 8. We need to be a place where people change. You guys, as wonderful as it feels to be familiar, to go back to homecoming, right? My mom used to love homecoming in Almont, Michigan, which is where she grew up and where she graduated school. She used to love homecoming because it was a very small town, and every year, instead of having, the class of 1959 gather for homecoming, it was anybody who ever graduated from Almont High School show up and have a good time. And she loved it. She loved it. And for just a few hours, she could feel like it was all the same. But there's no growth in staying in that place. Like I said, when we're looking back there, we're not going that way. We have to be willing to be in a group where other people change. Have you ever heard that song by Billy Joel? Don't go changing to try to please me. He says, I love you just the way you are. And it sounds so accepting, doesn't it? I love you just the way you are. Don't change. Don't change a thing. Wait a second. That is not healthy. We have to grow. We need to be in a place where the other people around us change and we are allowed to change too. As much as we may understand we need to change, sometimes we don't want our mom to change, right? I want you to stay the same because that's where we're comfortable. But the truth is, a growth environment is somewhere where other people are changing as well, not just me. And finally, a growth environment is a place where growth is modeled and expected. Growth is modeled and expected. There is nothing wrong with a little 1-year-old baby toddling around the living room and sucking on a pacifier and drinking his breakfast out of a baby bottle like baby Kenny does. He's sick. He's 6 months old. That is totally appropriate. But there's something wrong, right? As a parent, little alarms would go off if baby Kenny was 10 years old and still had a pacifier and was still drinking his milk out of a bottle, right? There's something that we would look at that and go, yeah, that's not right. The same happens to us spiritually, emotionally, mentally, intellectually. It's not that the place we're at is bad. It's just that we can't stay at this place. And we need to put ourselves in an environment where somebody expects me to grow, expects me to start being able to make choices for myself, to make decisions, to start something new. right? That's that's a possibility for you. You get to pick that. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you permission. You can place yourself in environments where the person or people around you want you to grow. Model what that growth looks like. They make mistakes and they learn from them. They try new things and they grow. It's inspiring, but it's also like fertilizer to our soil. It's like fresh air after you've been breathing toxic fumes. Being in a growth environment changes everything about you, and you get to choose. Carol says, this is so good, isn't it? Isn't it good to know that you and I have the option to place ourselves in environments that will not just make us feel good, because just feeling good is what, you know, keeps people from doing anything new, because that's kind of scary. But when we can place ourselves in an environment where we can feel what it feels like to stretch and to breathe, if there's a change that you need to make, I want you to know that it's okay to change. It's okay to change your environment so that you can grow and become who you need to be. Sometimes it's as simple as changing what your music is. Sometimes it means that you have to kind of look for different friends to spend time with, sort of back away from some of those family events that you know are going to just sap your soul. You get to choose. And as you choose, you're not going to always choose well, but you'll learn from it and you'll choose something else. So I wonder, how are you going to improve your growth environment? Are you surrounded with the things that we talked about for the past half hour? If not, where can you make a change? Where can you up level? Where can you replace that trashy magazine for something that's a little more uplifting and inspiring? Where can you spend your time with other people who are encouraging you to grow? Make those changes. It's what's required. It's what's necessary if we are going to grow. If you didn't just accidentally fall into a growth environment, some of you did, which is great. But if you didn't, I'm here to tell you, you're not a houseplant. You can get up and move, make a change. With that, I just want you to know I love you. I'm delighted to be able to share with you. I'm honored to be, hopefully, a part of your growth environment. And I also want you to know that you probably know somebody who would benefit from this. Maybe you know somebody who isn't in a growth environment but wants one. What can you do to reach out and help them? Share this with them. Absolutely. Let them know you're growing and these are some of the things you need to watch out for. I see something good in you. Let them know. Help establish a growth environment for somebody else. Model for them what growth looks like. Philip, you are welcome. And Carol says, one thing I learned this month is that we can change a job or change an address, etc. We can't worry about what others think. We need to be where the things are better for us and our family. It is good for us to do that. Yes, it is, Carol. And Missy said, I would not be where I am without you being ahead of me and reaching back to help. So grateful. Missy, it is my honor to help you. And I have people who are reaching back and helping me. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And Missy, Carol, Philip, I know you guys are reaching back and helping others to come up as well. You are part of my growth environment and you're part of someone else's. It's wonderful. All right. I love you all. You have a great week. Mwah. Share with somebody. Help them to experience the kind of growth that you find gratifying and show them what it looks like. Take care. Bye.